The 2025 Hyundai Elantra N-Line continues to be one of the most affordable sport compacts these days, but is it worth the savings over some of the pricier rivals? I'll explore that in this video, as well as talking about the exterior, the interior, taking it for a drive and seeing what it's like out on the road, as well as talking about also the fuel economy you can expect and the pricing and how it compares to the competition these days. And also huge thanks to #1 Cochran Hyundai of Monroeville for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys today. So about the 2025 Elantra N-Line. Well, this continues on with the same great refresh that it got for 2024, and there's really no changes here for 2025. Also, for anyone wondering, 2026 appears to be a carryover year as well, although at the time of me filming this, we don't have updated pricing for 2026. But as this one sits here in 2025, it's basically right at $30,000 still, while having, some nice amenities like a Bose stereo, heated seats, big screens, and also some really nice performance, of course. And so as far as the styling up front here, well, I love this refresh we got last year, and it really does make it look a lot like the Elantra N, the actual high performance version. And you have the same kind of sporty front bumper there, and you just don't have those little red accents, but I actually kind of prefer it without that. It just is a really sharp look up front there. Coming down to the sides, again, you still have that very angular side silhouette, especially the way that flows into the trunk lid, which going out to the back is very, aggressive. And I love how you have the black little lip spoiler and the darker accents here for the N-Line. It really looks cool. We also get some unique 18-inch wheels here on these with the N logo as well. And I think it's really nice. It's also the only way to get 18-inch wheels on an Elantra. You get 19s on the N, but everything else is only going to go up to 17. So really nice. You also have the badging, of course, and the other little black accents around the vehicle. But I think overall, if you don't know your Hyundai super well, this could pass for the N version just without the large rear spoiler there. But I think it looks really great still. The interior of the Elantra N-Line hasn't really changed much, even with the pre-refresh version. Nowadays we do also, though, have that Bose stereo. We have the double 10.25-inch screens and a few other little touches, but it's still a pretty nice interior for, again, the price point and the amount of performance you get for the money. And so anyway, the first thing sitting down in these seats, we have these unique N-Line seats, and I do love the stitching. You have a little bit of synthetic leather on the sides, and the patterns are really cool. And the support is very good, and they're also power here in the N-Line version, including power lumbar support, which is great. My only complaint with them, though, is that the cloth is very coarse. It's almost like it's trying to be like a neoprene or something, but really pretty rough. I'm hoping, this car is brand new. I'm hoping with a little bit of wear, maybe these would smooth out a little bit, but as they are right now, actually, I'd say some of the scratchiest cloth in the industry right now. And that is one thing where some of the other competitors do have cloth, but it's a little bit of a nicer cloth. Some others also have synthetic leather, and I'll talk about that whenever I discuss all the competitors later in this video. But, there are also heated seats here, which is certainly nice, and definitely try them out for yourself, see what you think about them. I mean, I think they're a little grippier as a result, but just wish that was a little smoother. Moving on to the steering wheel, though. That's a great steering wheel. Has a really nice 9-3 grip, nice little 10-2 notches, big paddle shifters here on the back. They're just plastic, but again, for something like this, totally fine, and I just like that they're nice and big. You have a few buttons here on it, and that's all the same as it has been for the past, 5 years pretty much, and nice and easy and simple to use, and not heated or anything, but still just a great wheel. Moving on to the gauges here, you'll see this whole array, which includes also this extra little plastic piece for the drive mode selector. And it's nice that serves a purpose, because in other Elantras, this just is completely blank. But, it's a quirky kind of design for sure. But anyway, the gauge cluster there is a fully digital 10.25-inch display, and it's really great. It does all the basics, and it has the nice added perk of doing 3 different themes for the gauges as well there. And this sporty one, I think, fits it the best. But, you can have whatever you want there. You can have it even changed with drive modes if you'd like. And just really great gauges. The middle here has, again, the other 10.25-inch display, and it's a touchscreen. And this is running still the old Hyundai software. I don't believe it'll get the new software for 26 either. And the unfortunate thing about that is that there is no wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto. You do have a wired connection for CarPlay and Android Auto, so you'll have to plug in every time, but at least you have the functionality. But, you know, basically I think all the competitors these days are wireless with their smartphone integration. So just one thing to keep in mind there as far as that goes. But otherwise, it does have Sirius satellite radio. And going through everything's nice and easy. I wish we had a tuning knob. We just have a volume knob. But aside from that one minor gripe, you know, still really great screen, no complaints. And like I said, it's hooked up to this Bose stereo, which is really nice. Some of the other competitors don't allow you to get Bose stereos. Some do come with Bose stereos or other upgraded stereos, but this is a really good stereo actually, and especially when you have a good source like CarPlay or something. It sounds very good. Nice strong bass, and that's a really well done stereo. So I'm glad we have that here. Now coming down, like I said, you have that volume knob and a few shortcut buttons, and it's nice to have some hard buttons. It's also nice to see physical climate controls here with 2 knobs and just, you know, basic little display and a few buttons. Nice and easy. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And then coming beneath that, you have a regular USB-A jack, surprisingly. Most other vehicles by 2025 here have gone all USB-C, but we have still one USB-A, another USB-C, regular power outlet, and also you have a Qi wireless charging pad. And Hyundai does the best wireless charging pad in the industry, in my opinion, so this is great to see here. And it has a little bit of a raised portion that's also rubberized, which really helps to do reliable wireless charging. And yeah, just happy we have that here. And otherwise, coming back, you have your physical parking brake, which is also a rare relic these days. We don't have in anything else, you know, for the most part. And so I really love that. You also have your 2 cup holders with a little removable part here if you want to have that be a little more shallow. And you have the center armrest, which does actually have some padding to it. Doesn't look super plush, but it actually is decently soft. And you open that up and you'll see, you know, fairly shallow cubby, but good enough for, you know, sunglasses, basic things like that. You also do have pockets in the doors, which are a little on the small side, but do have a bottle holder cutout. And the other nice little perk I'll mention about the Elantra N-Line is that you do get a moonroof in all of these as standard, which is a really nice touch, and again, something that not everyone gives you as far as the competitors goes. Now moving on to the back space here in Elantra, again, all the same as it has been for 5 or so years now, but I'm 5'9", be sitting behind myself. I have a couple inches of legroom to spare, and you know, a good amount of headroom as well. And they also, we'll see when you look forward, they have 2 USB-C jacks, no air vents in the rear there. That's one thing that the newer Kia K4 GT line Turbo, which is kind of the next generation of this Hyundai and Kia platform, same powertrain, that does have rear air vents. So keep that in mind. That's also a more spacious backseat. Again, I'll cover that later in the video, how it compares. But you also do have a full down center armrest and pockets in those doors as well. Trunk space in the Elantra is pretty good too. It's a nice wide, pretty long space. Not the most practical one of the bunch. I think there may be some others that are a little bit better, and some that even have, you know, a hatchback variant, which will give you even more practicality. But this is still, you know, going to be totally fine. Those rear seats do fold down as well. And unfortunately, beneath the floor, you don't see any kind of spare tire. You just have a tire mobility kit. That is something where some of the others do give you a spare. So just keep that in mind as well. But let's start up and go for a drive. The Elantra N-Line here just has the usual Hyundai key, but it's a little bit darker here, I think, compared to the regular silver of a regular Hyundai. But just, you know, a nice key, a little bit on the large side, but not too bad. But of course, it is keyless access, keyless entry, and push-button start here in all of these. So you just leave the key in your pocket, hit the engine start button, and it starts right up. All right, so setting off here in the 2025 Elantra N-Line. I think the first thing that I really notice and appreciate about these is the exhaust note. It has a really nicely tuned exhaust, and you know, nothing crazy, not as loud as the full-blown N or anything like that, but it's actually a really nice little sound to it. And just even putting around at low speeds, I've really appreciated it. It's not too loud, it's not drony or anything. It's just a nice little bit of you know, buzz there. And yeah, I think it's a really nice, kind of perfect sound for a vehicle like this. Of course, there's the aftermarket if you always want more. But other things to note here about these right away. You have excellent visibility in these. I really do love that. The dash hood does come up a tiny bit here, depending on how low you want to sit and how tall or short you are. You know, your mileage will vary there. But otherwise, I mean, nice thin A-pillar here. Great view out of the sides. View out of the back is very good. And, you know, very easy to drive. And it is worth worth noting though that some of the competitors these days will give you extra cameras if you want to have like 360 cameras and all that. This doesn't have anything other than the backup camera, but you know, it's a nice small car, should be very easy to park and all that. Other things here that I've noticed, I'm actually pleasantly surprised also with the dual clutch automatic. The last time I actually spent a week with an Elantra N-Line here was in 2021, and it was one of the rare manual ones before they ended production of those in the beginning of 2022. And so I've actually not experienced the 7-speed DCT this has in a long time, and it's actually very good. Not perfect. Every once in a while you can feel a little bit of an engagement, but I mean, even the best dual clutches really, you know, have that still. But it's very smooth in my limited driving, at least so far here. I've been very happy with it, you know, we will try it out and whenever it's in its sportier modes, but whenever you're just, again, cruising in a relaxed manner, it's really good. One thing that isn't amazing though is the ride quality here. So for the N-Line version, you do get stiffer springs, stiffer dampers, stiffer anti-roll bars, and I've noticed, you know, I mean, again, a vehicle like this, you know, most of its competitors also have a little bit of a firmer ride, but this feels even a tiny bit firmer in my opinion than like Civic Si, for example. Certainly, you know, not as nice as Jetta GLI with its adaptive dampers, and even the new next generation platform here with Kia K4, that also I think had a little bit of a better ride. So, you know, your mileage will vary on that too. Some people like the stiffer ride, it feels sportier that way. I don't think it's, you know, super uncomfortable, but on the bumpier roads of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here, you know, you are reminded of the fact that you are in a vehicle that has a sporty suspension. You know, so make of that what you will. Other things here though that I'm really appreciating, you have a little bit of a heavier steering weight that I honestly wasn't expecting. It's certainly, again, different than a regular Elantra, and honestly feels about as heavy as an Elantra N. Honestly, it's not overboard, and I believe you can go in and change that if you'd like in the My Mode setting there, but yeah, it just kind of, again, adds that sporty vibe of this vehicle. Brakes also have a nice response to them as well. You get 1-inch larger brakes here on the N-Line version compared to a regular Elantra. Still a far cry from the, you know, much bigger brakes you get on Elantra N, but, you know, a nice improvement nonetheless. So, you know, give you a little bit of extra power, a little bit of extra brakes to go along with it. Nice and even and, you know, balanced. Other things too, throttle response is also very good, very responsive to, you know, your inputs there, and thankfully, you know, the transmission doesn't get too confused, so I haven't found myself so far in too many instances where it's, you know, I'm wondering where the power is at. Like, it's always right there with a downshift, right there, you know, with the engine spooling up the turbo and giving me the power that I need there. But speaking of spooling up the turbo, I'm going to go ahead and put it up into the sport driving mode here. It actually looks like it doesn't have a custom mode. Most Hyundais do these days, but I guess this one does not. So there's just Smart, Sport, and Normal. And Sport honestly doesn't feel like it has actually stiffened up the steering too much. But anyway, I'm also going to put the shifter in its Sport mode so that that's in its most aggressive setting. And let's turn down onto this back road here and see how it accelerates. And here we go. There we go. And there's a little burp almost on the upshift there. And it's a good amount of power. You know, it doesn't like throw you in the back of your seat. It's not crazy. Again, if you want that, Elantra N is where it's at. I adore Elantra N. It's really only about $5,000 more. If you're really, you know, focused on performance, want the craziest thing, that's going to be the way to go. It's well worth the extra $5,000. But, you know, if you just want something with a little bit of extra punch, and you know, this is enough for you at $30,000, you know, I think it's great. Now, it's the 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder here. It does require or recommend, I guess, premium gas, so keep that in mind. But it does 201 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is going to be about 6.5 seconds for these. It runs through, again, a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. And that is one difference. You know, this is really one of the last vehicles to use this 7-speed. A lot of the other stuff has gone on to 8-speed dual-clutch. That's what we also see in Elantra N. But the 7-speed, again, it's completely fine. We can briefly try out some manual shifts here. Downshift's pretty quick. Yeah, and we'll try some more upshifts here. Come up to a red light, and actually now it's green. Go another downshift. Yeah, it's not bad. We'll do some more testing of that in a minute here, but downshifts though are great. Very nice and sporty, so if you want to paddle shift around everywhere you go, you know, I think it'll be a pretty fun experience. And let's do some more accelerations here. I'm in second. Here we go. Yeah, it's been totally fine with the upshifts here. We'll keep on playing with the paddles just because why not? But other things here to note. So as far as putting the power down to the ground, we don't have a limited slip differential. You're gonna have to go up to the Elantra N for that as well. Now, otherwise the handling's really good because these only weigh 3,000 pounds. I think it's 3,020 to be exact. But very light, very direct. We also have 235 wide hand-cooked Ventus all-season tires on these. Not craziest tire setup, but decent. And you know, just again, that lightweight I think really is what helps these to just feel really, really good. But you know, if you do happen to find yourself in low traction situations, a limited slip diff really comes in handy, and that's one really nice thing about Civic Si and also the Jetta GLI. You know, they both have that, and that'll give you better, you know, snow time kind of traction and things like that. Put the power down on the wet. But you know, for most driving, you're going to be fine with this, especially if you're taking it easy in bad conditions. You know, this will be completely fine. But and going over some bumps with a little bit of gravel too. But yeah, it's actually very good. Very, very good. And again, if you want more grip, it's just one tire upgrade away, and there is, you know, I think a decent aftermarket for these as far as, you know, going for more if you want. But again, I'll say one more time, you know, if you want the best handling possible, Elantra N is absolutely the way to go. Bigger brakes, adaptive dampers, you know, the summer tires that come on those, bigger wheels, everything being dialed in for, again, maximum performance. That's really the way to go. And it comes with a manual. That's the other thing I forgot to mention earlier is, you know, this is only automatic now. So after, you know, 2021, that was your only choice here. And if you want a manual, there are some of the other competitors that do offer that. So keep that in mind. But if you're wanting to stick with Hyundai and Kia, you know, then you're going to be stuck with the auto, because even the K4 doesn't offer a manual anymore. But yeah, whenever I did live with one of these for a week, you know, it was really a fun little thing to live with. And, you know, again, the power is a good amount too. I mean, it's not like Elantra N is overwhelming or anything, but, you know, with this, you can really drive it hard every day and not be doing, you know, 100 miles an hour everywhere you go. It's, you know, it's one of those cars where, you know, it has enough power to feel fun, but not so much that, you know, you have to barely touch the gas, you know, to stay under the speed limit. So I really like this combo. And again, the nice savings, you know, keeping it at a nice affordable price, at least here for 2025, is great as well. And so yeah, the other little things to mention here, safety technology. That is another area where this does have a stark difference between this and its competitors. So all the basic stuff does come as standard, which is great. So that means automatic emergency braking is standard, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, and lane follow assist. So all those assistants are, you know, here and present as standard. No extra upcharge or anything for that, which is great. But the one difference though is that all the competitors, I believe, have adaptive cruise control as standard, and a lot of cars these days have it as standard. Even like a Toyota Corolla has it as standard, but you don't have it as standard in this, and you can't even get it in this at all. So if you want adaptive cruise, you know, you're gonna have to go for the Kia or another competitor, because there's no way to get it here in Elantra N-Line. So that's a little bit unfortunate, a little odd, honestly, because I think this might be the last vehicle in the whole lineup that doesn't have that. Now, lower Elantras also don't have it, but in the limited version of the Elantra, you can have it. So it is possible to have an Elantra with adaptive cruise. They just chose not to do that. So just keep that in mind if you are someone who's going to be doing a lot of highway driving. And also in a straight line, this does put the power down very well. So, you know, it's nice to have the LSD, but, you know, a lot of times you're not really going to need it. And, you know, if you do stock power levels, I think it's, again, very evenly matched, and having, you know, grippier tires will make that even better with, you know, limiting the wheel spin. But wheel spin is fun in my opinion anyway, so if you happen to get a little bit of that, I think it's a-okay. Although Elantra N, even with the limited slip diff, has a lot of wheel spin at times, and it's a lot of fun. So, but anyway, the last couple things I mentioned here, though, are the fuel economy and then the pricing and how it compares to the competition. So as far as fuel economy goes, these are rated at 28 mpg in the city, 35 on the highway, and 31 combined, which is actually quite good for something like this. You know, again, 200 horsepower. I'm going to go ahead and put it in normal mode so it calms itself down. But you know, I mean, that's very good fuel efficiency. Now, if you want to have even better fuel efficiency, The hybrid version of the Elantra actually has the same torque figure, 195 pound-feet, and that interestingly uses a 6-speed dual clutch, but you're going to have similar punch around town, and the electrified little extra punch of the hybrid also allow it to feel similarly zippy around town, but whenever you're flat out, that's where you're going to feel there's a key downgrade in power as far as horsepower for that hybrid. But depending on how you drive, it might be worth a test drive just to see, if you're going to really be missing out on that power a whole lot in, your driving style and your driving circumstances. And if you do want to have good efficiency and also very good power, the Civic Hybrid is the only one here that does 200 horsepower and gives you 50 mpg, and does it also for basically the same price as this. So I'll talk about that in a minute here. But for this though, on its own, I think it's really great to be able to go over 30 mpg while still having fun. I think it's a pretty good amount of efficiency. But lastly, let's talk about pricing and how it compares to the competition. So the Elantra N-Line starts at $30,220, including destination for 2025. And this one, as tested at #1 Cochrane, is $30,047, thanks to a $748 discount they have on it. We don't have pricing for the 2026s yet, but if you're shopping for an Elantra N-Line and you're in southwestern PA, definitely check out #1 Cochrane, where this car is currently for sale. There will be a link in the description to it, and if you stop in, make sure you ask for Rich. Either way, regardless of where you're going, you're definitely going to head over to maranmotoring.com and click on the new car quotes page. There you'll get access to dealer invoice pricing, as well as getting connected to a dealer near you, so you can check out the Elantra N-Line for yourself and see what you think about it. So there's going to be a link in the description, as well as one in a pinned comment, to take you straight to that site and get you all that info. Now let's talk about how the Elantra N-Line compares to its competition. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're wanting the best performance car value, the Elantra N is definitely worth the extra $500 to $6,500. If you need to stay closer to that 30 grand price point though, the best value is going to be the Mazda 3. It's available in both sedan and hatch form, and the hatch is even offered with a manual still. A comparable one that includes even leather is going to cost you only $27,700, although it doesn't get the Bose stereo like the Elantra unless you go for the more expensive manual or turbo versions of the Mazda 3. But otherwise, it's only down 10 horsepower, but allows you to use regular gas, and even is available with all-wheel drive. It is more cramped inside and only has a 6-speed torque converter automatic, but it's much more luxurious and quiet inside and still has great driving dynamics. Next up, the Kia K4 GT Line Turbo is $1,500 less than the Elantra and is the only other one that matches the Hyundai on the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. It also gives you the best interior space in the segment, newer technology, rear air vents, adaptive cruise control, and you can even get luxuries like ventilated seats if you add on an option package that bumps the price to $31,500. I'd say it's slightly less fun than Elantra, and it does have 11 less horsepower, but if you're focused more on the interior, the K4 is the clear winner there. The Honda Civic Hybrid is also a very strong competitor, with essentially the same price as the Hyundai and the same horsepower, but gives you 50 mpg, plus 37 more pound-feet of torque, and it offers a hatchback body style as well, but you will lose the fun of having a transmission since the Honda hybrid system doesn't have one, but it'll drive similar to a CVT. You also don't get the Bose stereo unless you go up a trim, which then puts you at about $33,500, but does also give you leather. If you want something a little sportier, the Honda Civic Si is $1,500 more than the Elantra and does drive better and gives you that limited slip differential, but it's still only available with a manual transmission. But if you got the extra $1,500 to spend, I'd go for the Si. Lastly, there's the Volkswagen Jetta GLI, which is about $3,500 more, so it's a significant upcharge, but in exchange you get a limited slip differential, adaptive dampers, an extra 27 horsepower and 63 more pound-feet of torque, ventilated leather seats, a heated steering wheel, and your choice of either a manual or a dual clutch automatic transmission. And the only downsides really are a slightly worse crash test performance and the worst powertrain warranty in the industry of just 4 years and 50,000 miles, which is less than half of the Hyundai. So it all comes down to your priorities and what you want and need, but as you can see, the Elantra N-Line has a nice niche carved out for itself where it could certainly win out over the others, especially if you want the sportiest thing possible without paying Honda or Volkswagen money. So yeah, overall, I really like the Elantra N-Line, and even if it's not the best value these days, I do think that, again, the styling is one of the bolder ones in this segment for sure, and that combined with, again, the great tech you have, great stereo, and again, still a very good price point, means that even if it's not the absolute best value, it is still a very compelling option in my opinion. I'm so glad that we still just have $30,000 compacts, sport compacts here to pick from these days. You know, they are, you know, seeming to be an endangered species these days, so I'm very happy that we still have this, and I hope that they continue on with an N-Line for the next generation, which seems to be right around the corner here. Not for 2026 apparently, but you know, I'm guessing the next year, you know, we'll be getting hopefully a new version based on, again, that updated platform we see with K4. But in the meantime, again, I'm just happy this exists, and it's nice and affordable, and it's still just as fun as ever. So anyway, that's all of my thoughts here on the Elantra N-Line. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks once again to #1 Cochran Hyundai for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys today. Thank you all very much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.